Have you ever noticed the last bench in a quiet park? Not the one near the fountain, where kids scream in joy. Not the one under the gazebo, where young couples whisper promises, but the one under the oldest tree, tucked away at the edge of the garden. It's the bench no one chooses first, but the one where memories come to rest. This is the story of that bench and the man who made it magical. Mr. Ramesh Mehta, 81 years old, retired, alone, but never truly forgotten.
Ramesh had spent most of his life in front of blackboards and chalk, guiding thousands of students with patience, passion, and purpose. He was a school principal, firm but fair, strict with discipline, but gentle with dreams. Every morning for 35 years, he walked into that school with the same rhythm. The sound of shoes echoing in the corridor, the smell of ink and old books, the chorus of "Good morning, sir," ringing like a hymn. But that was the past, a past that now lived only in his memories. 10 years had passed since he retired. The school had a new principal. The children no longer recognized his face. The world had moved on, as it always does. At home, silence had become his companion. The walls of his room held framed certificates and fading photographs, moments frozen in time. He wasn't bitter, he wasn't angry, but somewhere deep inside, he felt forgotten, like a lamp still full of oil, but left unlit. Every evening, he would walk slowly to the nearby garden, same path, same time, his cane tapping the stone path like a soft metronome. And then he'd sit on the last bench under the oldest tree. It was quiet there, peaceful. He would close his eyes and let the breeze carry him back in time, to classrooms filled with curious eyes, to farewell speeches and school songs, to the laughter of young voices. But now, he was a spectator, watching life unfold from a distance. One evening, something changed. A small boy came running past the swings. Chasing a balloon, he tripped right near the bench. He fell hard, scraped knees, a little blood, and a flood of tears. Ramesh didn't hesitate. He bent down, helped him up, wiped the dirt off his knees, took out his handkerchief, folded carefully, and wrapped it gently. "Don't cry, son," he said, his voice soft like velvet. "It'll heal. Everything heals." The boy sniffled. "Thank you, Uncle. I'm Arav." From that moment, something small, yet extraordinary, began. The next day, Arav came back, and the next. This time, he brought a comic book and a question. "Uncle, do you know how superheroes get their powers?" Ramesh chuckled. "Well, once upon a time." And so, the first story was told. It wasn't about capes or lasers, but about courage. A story of a little seed that wanted to grow into the tallest tree, no matter the storms. Arav listened, eyes wide open. And when he left, he said, I'll come again tomorrow." By the end of the week, our Rav brought a friend, then two more. By the end of the month, the bench was surrounded by little hearts and eager ears. Ramesh became a storyteller again, a teacher again. He told them tales from history, science, values, life. He used chalk on the park path. He made puzzles with pebbles. He played word games with leaves. It wasn't a classroom, but it had curiosity. It had learning. And most of all, it had love. The parents noticed. They stood a little distance away, smiling. They saw their children laughing, thinking, imagining, without screens, without phones, just a wise old man and his stories. One mother walked up to Ramesh and said, "Sir, you don't know what you've done. My son used to be shy, quiet. He waits all day to meet you now." Ramesh looked away, his eyes moist. He didn't speak, but inside, a long-forgotten part of him had awakened. News spread. An NGO working in the area came to see Master G of the garden. They offered him books, chalkboards, even a small honorarium. He politely declined the money, but accepted the books, with one condition: no child should pay, ever. They agreed. The bench was repainted. Children painted a signboard, "Evening Tales with Ramesh Uncle." And every evening, the garden came alive. Some of his old students saw the article in the paper. They came with flowers. Some were doctors, some were engineers. One girl had become a school principal herself. They touched his feet and said something he had forgotten how much he needed to hear. "Sir, we are who we are because of you." That night, Ramesh sat on his bed, holding a letter one child had written to him. It said, "You are my favorite teacher, even if you are not in a school." He wept, but this time, the tears carried no sadness. Then, one winter evening, he didn't come to the bench. The children waited, the parents waited, but the bench remained empty. Worried, Arav and his mother went to his home. He had a cold, just a cold, wrapped in a shawl, sipping hot water. But when he saw them, his eyes lit up. "Looks like the principal has no leave days, eh?" he joked, coughing gently. They laughed, and he promised to return soon. Years passed. He grew older, slower. The cane became a walker, but the stories never stopped. And then, one day, the bench was quiet again, this time forever. The tree still stood, the breeze still blew, but the laughter had paused. The children came and sat in silence. Some cried, some just stared. But then, one of them opened a notebook and began to read aloud the stories he had written down. The city decided not to remove the bench. They placed a plaque, brass and bold: Ramesh Mehta, the teacher who never stopped teaching. Every evening, children still come. Volunteers read the same stories, the same lessons. And once a year, on his birthday, they plant a tree near his bench. Dear listener, life doesn't end with retirement. It begins when you start giving again, when you realize that your voice still matters, your wisdom still lights the way. Ramesh Mehta didn't need a classroom. He didn't need a salary. He just needed a bench and a reason. Maybe you feel like the world has moved on, but remember, someone, somewhere, is waiting to hear your story. You are not done. You are a lighthouse, and someone is still sailing toward your light.